Alright everyone, today we're going to be changing the oil on my wife's 2020 Subaru Crosstrek. First thing I did was I just pulled it up on our homemade car stands. If you'd like a video on how I made those, I'm thinking about making another set. Pretty easy and about the same as the cheapest plastic one you can buy, but a lot sturdier and safer in my opinion. So let's go ahead and get started on the oil change. Okay, so the first thing you'll want to do is slide your oil pan underneath there, and about 2 feet, close to 3 feet underneath the front end, there is a hole in the splash guard, and right in there is a 14mm bolt. That's your oil pan bolt. So that's what will drain the oil out of. So we'll just go ahead crank that off. So once you've popped it loose with your wrench, you can go ahead and loosen it up with your fingers, and you'll want to be quick with it because it's going to start pouring out, making a mess. So make sure you got your pan lined up, and then you want to get your hand out of the way as soon as you can and get it draining onto your drain pan. So now that you have the bottom draining, you want to come up to the top. On the Crosstrek, the filter is located on the top, and you're going to want to go ahead and crack that loose. It's nice that it's on the top. It makes it a little easier to access. You never want to have these too tight when you put them back on. I always just hand tighten them, but over the course of time in between changes, it seems like you can use a wrench to get it off. Now it's just hand tight and loosen it up. You'll see, being on top, all of it drains down and will drain out of the motor. As you take the old filter off and it's drained all out, you can go ahead and open up your new filter. This is the Fram's Ultra Synthetic. That's the code for it right there. Fram is fine, whatever brand you can find when you punch in your specific car's model number. I just use this one. You do have to make sure you're getting a synthetic filter though, because the 2020 Crosstrek runs on 0W20 synthetic motor oil, so make sure you get a synthetic filter. Let's go ahead and open this up. I'm going to do this one-handed. And important step, you always want to inspect the O-ring there, because that's a spot where oil could leak out onto your motor. And then the other thing I like to do is take some of the old motor oil off the last filter and just kind of put it on the rim. Kind of give it a little bit of lubrication so that next time you take this one off, it doesn't stick to your motor. So just kind of make sure you got a little bit of oil on that ring. And then go ahead and screw it on. Make sure you're not cross-threaded. Should be able to screw pretty freely like that. And I always like to go hand tight. Don't force it, just about as tight as you can get it with your hand. Okay, now that everything down low has been drained, we're just down to a little drip. You're gonna want to go ahead and take your drain bolt. Make sure it's got that little washer on it still, you didn't lose the washer. And just go ahead and pop that back in there. Make sure you're not cross-threaded. It shouldn't be difficult until the end. It starts to tighten up. And then take your 14mm socket and just make sure it's tight. You don't have to get crazy on it. Just a good snug fit. And then you're ready to add the oil from the top. It's time to add the oil. This is the oil that I use. 0W20 full synthetic is what's going to be required for the Crosstrek, but I always buy Haviland's 6-quart box. I think I paid about $18 for this box, which is a pretty good deal on oil. It's good oil. It's been working great on all my vehicles. Yeah, and instead of a 5-quart jug, you're getting that extra 6-quart. And the packaging says it uses 70% less plastic, being in a box that has this plastic bladder in it. So it's a lot less plastic than having the thick walled plastic 5-quart jugs. And it's almost very similar to box wine. It's just boxed oil. So this is what I use. Not bad, works great on the cars. So I'm going to go ahead and use this, and I'll show you where you open it up. Okay, so right here to the right of the filter is your oil cap. And you want to give that a twist off. That also can get a little snug, so you want to just make sure you keep some oil around that O-ring. Go ahead and set that off to the side. Put a funnel right on top there. And just start pouring your oil in. Make sure you do it nice and slow. You don't want to overflow the funnel. Just go ahead, and the Subaru Crosstrek, the manual calls for 4.7 quarts. So I like to measure out 4.7 quarts and then just get it all in one pour. So now you're just going to go ahead and take your funnel out. You put your 4.7 quarts in, and you want to screw down your oil cap. Again, not crazy tight, just hand tight is good. Make sure that O-ring was lubricated. And go ahead and drop the hood, get it started, and pull it off your racks. And then make sure you mark down the mileage, and you're ready to know when to change it next. So the next thing we're going to do is we are going to track the mileage for our next oil change. So I just put it in an accessory. We're at 15,900. So I like to change it every 4,000 miles. The owner's manual says 4,000 to 6,000, with 6,000 being a lot of in-town driving, not high RPMs, a lot of idling. If you're going to be driving either a lot higher RPMs or a lot of highway where you're revving it a lot higher, 4,000 is about the low end. And I always figure, since it's easy to change the oil and not that expensive, I just go ahead and do the 4,000. So since we are at just under 16,000, I'm going to go ahead and put our next mileage at 20,000 miles. So that gives us basically 4,100 miles to the next change. Then you can always get these little stickers at any auto store you go to. I always go to Advance Auto, and they got a roll of them out for everybody. So, yep.